Let me get my music going. Hello, hello, hello. I hope all is well. I am almost recovered from being sick last week. I'm still, as you can hear, not 100%, but that is okay because the train is still going to roll. Okay? So you're going to see me drink a lot of water in these next couple of minutes that we're on. Um, but I'm still here. I'm good. I'm fine. Throat a little scratchy. I did post the second meditation from last week this morning because my voice was a little shoddy late last week. So I got it up late, but it's up. So we're good. I'm excited for tonight's overview for affirmations. So definitely make sure to like the live. Make sure to share it out with anybody that you think can benefit from these lives. Tonight we're going to be talking about accountability with our healing, and it's definitely going to be a goodie. Uh, Thank you. Yes, I hope I feel better too. It's been I don't know. I've been called I was like I said last week, I've been calling it RS Victor. Good old RS Victor. He won't let me go, child. He won't let me go. Um so I'm just trying to stay hydrated. I'm trying to make sure I'm drinking fluids, eating as much soup as possible. I'm kind of frankly tired of soup, but that's what I've been trying to stay up on. I've been having like a breathing treatment for my breathing because it's been too long. I don't want it to turn into pneumonia. Um, so, but we here. We pushing through it. We pushing through it. I'm not even going to belabor the time. Tonight we're talking about taking accountability for our healing. And I wanted to like pause and take a second for this overview because it's really important. A lot of us that, if you're following my channel, by the way, if this is your first time, my name is Debbie. I'm a certified meditation coach. If you have listened to any of the meditations on this channel, it's done by me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wanted to make sure I got that out of the way. Um, but when it comes to like anyone that's on a healing journey, and most likely for people who are on this channel or at some point in some sort of healing journey, we got to take the time to also think about our own accountability and our own responsibility in that healing. Um, so put your glasses on. You can't be sick and blind. I can see, okay? I actually have 20/20 vision. My glasses are for my astigmatism. So sometimes my eyes get tired. But I could see. Don't do me like that, Kiki. No, I know you're messing with me. It's all right. Um, so I want to make sure that we just take a pause and really like understand that our healing is our responsibility and it's not the responsibility of anyone else's. It's also kind of like the concept of, the person in our lives. Hey, Hiru, how are you? Hello, hi, here we are. Thank you so much for joining. So a lot of times even when it comes to like people taking responsibility or we're putting this responsibility of our own happiness on other people, like, oh, I left them because they're not making me happy, or oh, I'm not happy in this scenario, so they're no good for me, which very well could be true. But there's also some spaces where we have to take accountability for ourselves and understand any type of any type of actions, thought patterns, or any unhealthy ways of living that we bring to the table too. Not to say that we're going to take blame for things that people do to us or do around us, or that have created trauma in our lives. Not saying we're taking the blame, just saying that we, in spite of that, we have to take responsibility into doing the healing. We can't take responsibility for what people do to us, but we can take responsibility on how we handle it and how we manage it. So that's what tonight is about. It's a huge accountability day. It may not be the easiest things to hear when we talk through this, but when it comes to healing, it's about honesty. And it's not about just honesty with other people, but also honesty within ourselves. The most important relationship we will have outside of God, or a relationship with God, the most important relationship that we will ever have is the relationship that we have with ourselves. And if the relationship that we have with ourselves is toxic, then any other relationship that we're going to have is going to also be toxic. So making sure to heal the relationship that we have with ourselves, how we treat ourselves, and what we do to ourselves is really important, because then that's how we're going to treat other people, but then also that's how we're going to teach others how to treat us. So if we're treating ourselves bad, they're going to treat us bad, right? So it all comes full circle. So it all starts with us. So that's what this conversation is about. There are 6 affirmations tonight. I didn't want to beat y'all up too much. So there's 6 affirmations tonight. Make sure to use these the best way that you know how. Feel free to change the language if you need to. If you need to change the cadence of how it sounds. If you need to shorten it or make it longer, or add words, remove words, feel free to do that. Also, just make sure to use them however you feel. So if you want to say them out loud, if you want to just write them down in your journal and go back over them over and over again, you can. If you want to post them in your room or post them in your bathroom with Post-it notes, feel free to do that. If you want to record yourself saying these affirmations and listen to them every morning, by all means do that too. Even if you are working with a therapist, if you want to take the affirmations in and work with your therapist in the affirmations and change them or alter them based off of your current journey, by all means do that. It's just basically, I'm giving it to you and you do what you want with it. I'm just a messenger. I'm just planting a seed, and you have to plant the seed, and you have to actually flower it to make it grow. So awesome. And now that I got all that away, number one. Number one is, I am responsible for my own healing, and I embrace this responsibility with courage. I want to start out straight to the point. I am responsible for my own healing, and I embrace this responsibility with courage. So you have to technically participate in your own rescue. You have to participate in your own saving and your own healing. And you can't look at other people to either do that for you or to tell you exactly what to do, because everybody's different, right? Everybody has their own circumstances and experiences and backgrounds, and everybody can give you advice. Even me, like, I can give you advice, but at the end of the day, you have to take all of that information, take all of that knowledge, and apply it with wisdom, right? So, like, you have knowledge, the knowledge of knowing, but wisdom is actually gaining an understanding and applying it to your life in the way that you need it, in the right way. So I can give you the knowledge, that's just one piece of it, but you have to use wisdom and using that knowledge and applying it to your life the way that it's supposed to be. So you have to participate in your own rescue. It's just like getting a lifeboat, right? If someone sends you a lifeboat, if you're stranded somewhere or you're drowning somewhere and someone sends you a lifeboat, you technically have to physically get in the lifeboat to be saved, right? They can send you to a lifeboat all day, but if you watch it go by, or if you don't reach for it, or you don't try to swim towards it, then it just defeats the purpose. It's just a lifeboat just staying there, and you're still just sitting there, and then you still end up drowning, right? It's the same thing when it comes to our healing. People can give you lifeboats. Today I'm giving you a lifeboat, right? But you actually have to get to the lifeboat, get into it, and then roll yourself back to shore. So it's based off of the fact that, hey, know I have this healing, I know I have these tools, but I actually have to apply them, and I have to use them, and I have to apply them in the right ways. So yes, I hope that that's helpful. I am responsible for my own healing, and I embrace this responsibility with courage. That's number one. With courage is important. Make sure that you, and of course, healing can be scary, daunting, frustrating. You can put it to the side, but move forward with courage, understanding that you may have some bumps along the road, but keep moving forward and pushing forward with courage when it comes to your healing in that journey. Number two, I release blame and excuses, knowing that I hold the power to transform my life. I release blame and excuses, knowing that I hold the power to transform my life. So taking accountability doesn't mean that you take blame necessarily, depending on the situation, right? It's not necessarily you're going to take blame, especially if someone did something to you. It wasn't something that was warranted. It wasn't something, even if it was warranted, somebody does something wrong to you, somebody does something wrong to you. You know what I mean? It's wrong, right? So it's not necessarily releasing the blame isn't necessarily, sometimes when we think about like taking accountability, it's like, oh, I have to take the blame for this. It's not necessarily taking the blame, it's awareness, right? It's just being aware of what happened, the part that you played into it, the mistakes that you may have made throughout that whole process, and then making changes and adjustments moving forward and learning from that situation. For me, I feel like mistakes and failures aren't necessarily mistakes and failures unless I didn't learn the lesson. So if I didn't learn the lesson, if I didn't learn from it, if I keep repeating it over and over again, that's what makes it a failure. But if it was a mistake and a failure, quote unquote, that happened, but I actually learned from it and I'm actually a better person because of it, is it really a mistake? Is it really a failure? Or did it just have to happen in order for you to be able to get that lesson? So, just 1 second. Got a little cough. RS Victor. Okay. So just understanding that that we can release the blame, the excuses. That's the big part. And I'm sorry, y'all. I don't want to beat y'all up today. But the excuses. We got to be aware of the excuses that we're making. The excuses that we're making when it comes to our healing and why we're not healing. And a lot of times those excuses come from trauma, which is, warranted, right? If you have a trauma that's happened, the excuses of why you are the way that you are is based off of that trauma. But a lot of times that prevents us from healing. We get in our own way, and it's like, for instance, I'll give you an example. If you feel like you're always guarded, and it's just something that you've been hurt a lot of times, and you just tell people like, hey, like, I'm guarded because of this, and this. And it's like, okay, yeah, I understand, you're guarded because of this, but this happening. But how long is that going to be the excuse, right? How long are you going to use that for an excuse to not be vulnerable, or to not embrace love, or to not have relationships or friendships or anything along those lines, right? So at a certain point, we have to we have to release the blame and release the excuses. And knowing and understanding that once we do that, we understand the power that we hold and that we're able to transform our lives, even though those things have happened, right? So I release blame and excuses, knowing that I hold the power to transform my life. I release blame and excuses, knowing that I hold the power to transform my life. Make sure that I didn't miss anything for that before I move to the next one. Yeah, I think I kind of covered all of that. Just making sure that we're not taking blame, but Gaining an understanding of our unhealthy patterns. That's one thing I didn't want to make sure. Making sure that we understand and take accountability for the unhealthy patterns that we have throughout our lives, not necessarily taking blame for something that somebody did to us. Make sense? All right, it's Victor Child. He trying to rise up in my throat. All right. Number 3. I honor my past experiences, but refuse to let them define my present or future. I honor my past experiences, but refuse to let them define my present or future. I'll say that one more time. I honor my past experiences, but refuse to let them define my present or future. And it's also going back to the blame and the excuses, right? Yes, we can honor our past experiences. We can honor and think through and be aware of our past experiences and how we impacted us. But that doesn't define us. It's not a definition of who we are today or who we will be in the future. And just because we've been a certain place, just because we've had certain experiences, just because we have had in the past different limitations and different restrictions, and we've been in these spaces that we never even thought that we would ever be in, just because we have that experience doesn't mean that it defines the person that you are today or the person that you are in the future. I think about that when it comes to people who have been in prison or people who have experienced like a really difficult childhood trauma. I think about people who have, I just watched the documentary of these teenagers and these kids that went into boarding school and were abused and were there for a certain period of time, thinking that they would never get out of it. But just because they had that experience doesn't mean that their present day has to reflect that or their future has to reflect that. So yeah, you can think about your past experiences, you can honor them, you can take the time to accept them and process them and be aware of them, and even use that as a fuel to push you forward. But when we dwell too much on the past and we continue to look back, we spend too much time there sometimes to the point where we're unable to heal, and we keep ourselves in this cycle because we're replaying all of these instant replays of things that has happened in the past, and we don't have the space or the capacity or even the strength or the courage really to move past it and to heal from it. The program, yeah. It was really crazy to watch, and I think that I forget her name. Her name just left me. But one celebrity has been coming out and been talking about how she was a part of it. Paris Hilton. She was talking about how she actually went to 4 different boarding schools and she experienced these things. But it's like people who are in very traumatic situations like that, and it may not be that extreme. It could have just been that you grew up to where you had a single parent and that parent was always gone because they had to work, and that was just basically your norm. So you spent a lot of time alone, and that was something that you had to navigate to where now you're here as an adult and you're struggling with social anxiety, or you're struggling with building really quality relationships, or you're struggling with friendships or anything like that. So it can be something as extreme as that, or it can be something that people would technically not think as being extreme, but still could be traumatic. Traumatic things is just anything that happens to your nervous system that was unexpected. That's simply like how it's put. It's unexpected change that you weren't expecting, and it can be on a large scale. It is a big spectrum as far as like what trauma can be and how something can impact one person really, really heavily, but not impact the next person as heavy. So people may look at these different experiences and say, "Oh, well, that's not that bad." Well, to me, it is. To me, it's that bad. So just kind of think through, all of that, and understanding that that these past experiences are good to be aware of, but you don't want it to be a huge part of how it defines your present, excuse me, present or future. Um, Paris does seem like you can't see her feelings from, yeah, I want to say that she did a interview. I can't recall how long ago it was. I think I saw it on TikTok, but she did an interview talking about it. And now that this documentary came out, it's starting to resurface again. But yeah, definitely look into it, because that's crazy. If nobody knows what we're talking about, if you go to, excuse me, if you go to Netflix, it's called The Program. It's basically a documentary about teenagers that were sent to boarding school for behavioral issues, and ended up being abused during the time that they were there. If anybody knows me, I'm a huge documentary buff. All I do is watch documentaries, for real, for real. It gets my kids' nerves. But yeah, so definitely watch that if you want to learn more about the situation and become more aware of it. Um, awesome. What was that one? That was number 3. Yeah. Number 4, I no longer claim the victim mindset and choose to take ownership of my growth. I no longer claim the victim mindset and choose to take ownership of my growth. I'll say that one more time. I no longer claim the victim mindset and choose to take ownership of my growth. We have to understand that healing is a decision, okay? It's a decision, and it's a decision that we have to make every day. Because you may have made that decision yesterday, and today you don't want to make that decision no more. Sometimes healing is exhausting. Sometimes healing is frustrating. Sometimes healing doesn't seem as flowery and happy-go-lucky as you may have expected. Sometimes healing looks like crying. Sometimes healing looks like letting people go that you don't want to let go. Sometimes healing is being honest with yourself about those secrets that are laying in the back closet that you try not to think about, that you have to now pull up and be honest with yourself about it. Healing can be difficult. It's just like healing an actual wound, right? If you get a physical wound, you get a scrape or whatever on your arm or on your leg, they're going to have to pour that peroxide on there. They're going to have to get all of the gook out and clean it up. If it's deep enough, they may have to stitch it up for you and put some stitches on there. It's going to be painful, right? But over time, it will begin to heal. And the way that you got to that place, it was because you had to dig in there. You had to get all the gook out. You had to clean it up real good. You had to do the stitches. You had to put the ointment on there every day and make sure that it didn't get infected. And then if it does get infected, then you got to go back and start all over again. And then once you get through and go back and start all over again, then you got to put ointment on it every day again. And then you got to progress again. And sometimes you may get to the end and then there's a little scab, and then you get a little picky and you want to pick the scab, and then you pick the scab, and then it's all started all over again, and then you got to heal it all over again. You got to do it again all over. Pour the peroxide, and you got to clean up, put the gauze on it, put the ointment on it, put the neosporin on there, all that stuff. And then when it finally heals, you got a scar. You did all of that healing. And now you got a scar, right? It's the same thing with our personal healing. My analogies be on point, okay? When you don't connect daily with the world, catches up out of nowhere and causes you to pass your past bad habits. Yeah, of course. But yes, when it comes to healing yourself, healing your emotions, And healing your trauma, it looks just like a wound. It's the same thing. It's going to take time. It's going to take care. It's going to take Neosporin. It's going to take some peroxide. It's going to take some bandages. It's going to take, you're going to cry a little bit because it hurt. It's all of that is still there when it comes to healing your emotions and understand healing your emotions and healing your trauma and healing yourself and healing your heart. It's going to be painful, right? And we have to understand that that's just that the beauty of that is just as important as the end result of you being a healed person. And it even goes back to last week when we talked about boundaries, is that the more that we heal, the more we'll understand what our boundaries and limitations are. And when we put those boundaries and limitations in place, then it prevents us from having to do all of that additional healing, because now we have positive, healthy boundaries put in place. Whereas a lot of our trauma, not to say all of it, but a lot of our trauma comes from us not being able to set boundaries, not being able to say no, or not being able to not worry about the outside and not worry about what people are going to think of us, or doing people pleasing, or all of that is in that. So understanding, I went on a tangent, y'all, but understanding that it's a decision to heal every day. We can't control what others do to us or say to us, but we do have control over the healing of that trauma. We have to get out of our own way. A lot of times we're in our own way, and because of the fact that we're in our own way, we're unable to heal. And being in your own way is, have you ever been in a situation where someone made you angry and you didn't want to not be angry, right? So someone made us upset, someone did something to us, and you're like, you know what? I'm angry right now, and I'm gonna choose to be angry. Don't make me laugh. I'm angry woman right now. I'm angry man right now. You know? So sometimes we get in our own ways because we feel like we need to do some type of revenge. And sometimes trying to stay angry at somebody or staying in that state of anger is a form of revenge. I know sometimes people don't really think of it in that way, but a lot of times you may not try to do something to them, but you being angry at them and you being mad at them and you giving them the cold shoulder, not to say that you have to talk to them, but you giving the cold shoulder, or you staying in that state, staying in that mindset, is actually your way of getting back at them. It's your way of giving them revenge. You 3 years later still mad because you wanted to stay in that state, and because of the fact that you couldn't get back at them. So now this is my revenge, but really you're killing yourself. Staying in that anger and staying in that state and holding that and storing that in your body for a long period of time, storing that in your nervous system for that period of time is doing nothing but being detrimental to you. They could care less. They could have been yada yada yada, dee 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 dee, running around doing whatever they doing, and you still over here mad. I don't know who I'm talking to. I feel like I'm talking to somebody. But just understand that you have to make a decision for your healing, and you have to consciously do it day to day. You can't do it one day and then be like next day, be like, hey, I'm good, I'm healed. Yay. No, you gotta choose it again. You gotta choose it the next day and the next day and the next day. So I hope this isn't deterring anybody from wanting to go on their healing journey, but it's better to be on that journey than to be in depression. It's better to be on that journey than to be in loneliness. It's better to be in that journey than to be bitter and angry at everybody and secluding yourself and isolating yourself and not feeling good about yourself. It's better than that. I'll tell you that. But that was number 4. I no longer claim the victim mindset and choose to take ownership of my growth. The last thing I'll say about that is you are a victor, not a victim. Stop claiming that victim mindset and claim the mindset of I can succeed, I can overcome this, I can heal, I can be on that journey. And this is what all these affirmations are about. But stop taking on that victim mindset. Don't think about why things happen to you or why someone did something to you, right? Think about, okay, this thing happened. What, how was this serving me? How was this teaching me? Okay? This didn't happen to me. This happened for me. What did it happen to me for? You know what I mean? What was it for? What was the purpose of this happening? And sometimes you may not be able to come up with an answer, and that's okay. But it's more so of an exercise for you to really try to shift your mindset out of this happening to me, to me, to me, to me, to me, to me, to me. And when we find ourselves in that mindset of all of these things happening to us, it's hard to see the positive. It's hard to be optimistic. It's hard to see where the journey is. It's hard for you to see purpose. It's hard for you to see any of that. So it's a mindset shift. That was number 4. Number 5, there's only 6 today, guys. Number 5, I let go of negative thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve me, making room for healing. I segued into that thing and didn't even realize I did. Yes, let's see. Too true, but you always exaggerate. I don't exaggerate. I just be trying to put things into perspective. Okay? I let go of negative thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve me, making room for healing. Sometimes we can't heal. And again, sometimes we get in our own way, because we're filling our minds and our brains with negativity, right? We have so many negative things that we're filling ourselves with day to day. So this is just a reminder for you to think about your thoughts. Think about your thought patterns. Become more aware of what you're thinking and what you're saying to yourself. An exercise that I did that is helpful. Sometimes it's hard to do. So you may have to do it on a day that you're at home where it's not really like a busy day, but actually writing out your thoughts as you're thinking them. If you have a continued thought, just write it down. Why are you having that thought? Whether it's good or bad, whether it's negative or positive. Why are you continuing to have this thought? If it's a thought that you think often, why? You know, taking the time to really journal out those things. If you are not quite sure how to evaluate your thoughts, that's a good way to start. We love the exaggeration. Maybe I need a different word, but promise is perfect. Listen, I'm a little extra, and I try to scale it back so you guys get the message. But I do talk to y'all like y'all my friends. I really do, because I really do care. I pray for any and everybody that listens to my content. I pray for you. I pray for your families literally every day. So y'all a little bit of y'all still friends, okay? So I talk to y'all like I would talk to any friend. Okay. Where was I at? RS Victor. Sorry. I let go of negative thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve me, making room for healing. So yes, making room, that's what I wanted to talk about. So when it comes to like you releasing those negative thoughts, those negative beliefs, and releasing all of that, whether it be on paper, whether it's a good cry, whether it's a good meditation, a good prayer, once you release all of that, it makes room for your brain to process healing. A lot of times we can't process healing because we have all of these negative thoughts and beliefs swirling around in our heads. And until we are able to release those things and let those things go, then the smoke can clear. So that way you're able to actually process the things that you have to process in order to heal. Again, a lot of times we're getting in our own way because of the fact that we're not letting go of those negative beliefs, the negative thoughts, this negative self-talk. Even when we talk about the things that we're watching, the things that we're looking at, pay attention to what you're listening to. Pay attention to the music that you're listening to. Pay attention to the shows that you're watching. Pay attention to the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. Like, really take the time to really, it's not even just thoughts and beliefs, but just think about your environment and what you're taking in day to day. What are you scrolling? When you're scrolling on your social media, what are you seeing? Are you seeing a whole lot of negative stuff? Is there any positive stuff that's in there? Do you have to unfollow some people? Do just kind of think about all of those things and what you're taking in, because what you're taking in is where your thoughts will be. So the more things that you take in that are negative, the more those thoughts will come into your head. And then the more those thoughts play into your head, the more that those thoughts will then go into your heart. So if you are bringing in to your head negativity and that's all you're bringing in, that's going to filter to your heart. But if you stop that and start bringing in more positivity into your brain, affirmations, meditation, prayer, positive music, whatever you're watching and scrolling on TikTok, start reading some more books versus being in all of these different social media sites. Doing something different outside of the box, being more creative, that's going into your head, that then will filter into your heart. So if you're finding that your heart is in a bad place, that you're depressed, that you're sad, that you're lonely, that you're in isolation, that you're frustrated, you're confused, if you're feeling all of that in your heart, think about what you're putting in your head, okay? And you have to think about shifting your mindset, all right? Yeah, my RS Victor. I gave him a name. His name is RS Victor instead of RSV. I felt like I had to give him a name, and I felt like it was a male. No offense to any males that are on the live. Oh, thank you. I tried it. I try. And I honestly have, me speaking is something, me doing this is me building my own courage to speak, because I kind of have been quiet before my healing journey, I used to be a very talkative person when I was younger. Actually, I used to have all the time that my teacher would tell me I was probably going to be a talk show host because I talk too much. But then some at some point in my 20s, I got silent. I stopped talking with my own trauma, my own frustrations, my own depression that I experienced. So this is me pulling myself back out of that. And yeah, so to hear that you feel like I'm a great speaker, I really do appreciate that, Patrick. Thank you. Awesome. That was number 5, right? Yes, that was number 5. So we're on the last one, number 6. I am worthy of love, compassion, and healing, and I welcome them as a piece of this experience. I am worthy of love, compassion, and healing, and I welcome them as a piece of this experience. I will say that again. I am worthy of love, compassion, and healing, and I welcome them as a piece of this experience. Yeah, we are speaking this year and forever. Absolutely. Don't let your trauma, don't let your experiences, don't let your frustrations quiet you. And I say that from experience. Don't allow that to change who you are and change who you authentically are to be. I feel like I was just a shell of myself for years. When I say years, I want to say 5 years, maybe, give or take. I was just a shell of myself, and because I just kind of silenced myself, that created a depression. So just be, and even if you are a quiet person, just let that be who you are. If you're a loud, boisterous person, let that be who you are. If you are sometimes loud and then you're sometimes quiet, which I'm in the middle, sometimes I'm introverted, extroverted, It just kind of depends. I think if I'm around other extroverts, I'm really extroverted. Like I can be, blah, 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 blah. But if I'm around other introverts, I can adapt. I can just adjust and just kind of be a little bit more laid back because I'm both. Just kind of depends on how I'm feeling. But be yourself. Be your authentic self. And going through this process of healing will allow you to find that again. You know what I mean? Because if you feel like you are a shell of yourself, if you feel like you are coasting, right? If you feel like you're just here but not living, those are all like pieces of you being just a shell. You're not showing all of who you are. And so if you feel like you're what's the other word? What's the other phrase? It's left me. It will come to me. But yeah, if you feel like you are a shell, this is a good place for you to be, just as far as like here with me. So that way you can understand that there's healing that needs to happen. If you are coasting, if you're a shell, if you feel burned out, if you feel like you're not living, that you wake up, you do this, you do this, you do that, you do this, and then you go to bed and then you wake up and do it all over again. You're not present. You're not thinking about what's happening in the now. It's always in the future or in the past. Those are all indicators that you're not living in the now. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that at least perks your antennas up a little bit, so that way you can take the time to really be honest with yourself, take accountability for your healing, and take a baby steps. Take some baby steps in pulling yourself out of it. It's a journey. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. If I did it, you can do it. So, and I'm not perfect. Hey, I'm still healing. I'm still fixing and adjusting and changing and evolving and still taking accountability for, areas of my life that I still am trying to fix. But I'm being patient with myself. I'm being compassionate with myself and understanding that healing is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It ain't one of them long jumps, okay? It's one of them long 10, 15 miles, that long, what's that, 5, 10, 20K. Is there 25K? 30K? It's one of those, okay? So it's not going to happen overnight. You'll look up and you'll say, oh, you know what? Today was a good day today. I'm present today. This was a good day and I enjoyed this day. There's it will come and you'll take a few steps back, you take a few steps forward, you run a little bit, you sprint, and then you get tired and then you just kind of pass out, and then you'll get back up and then you'll keep going again. Like it's a journey, okay? But I'd rather us be on that journey than to be in depression, than to be lonely, than to be burned out, than to be sad all the time, than to be frustrated and angry and bitter. Nobody wants that for their lives. So I'd rather be on the healing journey than to be there. So that was the last one. I am worthy of love. I didn't even talk about this. I am worthy of love, compassion, and healing, and welcome them as a piece of this experience. Understanding that you are worthy of the love, you are worthy of the compassion, you are worthy of the healing, you're worthy of love from yourself and from other people. You're worthy of compassion from yourself and other people. You're worthy of that healing within yourself, because once you're healed, then you draw healed people to you. You draw healthy people to you. You attract healthy and healed people, or people who are in that same journey, to you. If you're surrounded by people that don't care about their self-worth and don't care about their healing and are not on a journey to be a better version of themselves, why? Why are you surrounding yourself with them consistently? Now, it's like if they're family, friends, it's not like I'm saying you got to cut everybody off, but be mindful of where you spend your time. Yes, please make sure to like the live, and make sure to share it out as much as possible to people that you think can benefit from it. Um, awesome. So just to kind of go back through, I'll make sure to turn that music off because I feel like I have surpassed my time for the copyright free. So I ain't trying to share no monetization. All right. Number one was I am responsible for my own healing and I embrace the responsibility with courage. Number two was I release blame and excuses, knowing that I hold the power to transform my life. Number three, I honor my past experiences but refuse to let them define my present or future. Number four, I no longer claim the victim mindset and choose to take ownership of my growth. Number five, I let go of negative thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve me, making room for healing. And number six, I am worthy of love, compassion, and healing, and I welcome them as a piece of this experience. Those are the six. I hope that these were helpful. Me and RS Victor made it through. Because he was right here. He was right here the whole time. But we made it through. We here. We made it through. Awesome. This live is every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to continue with this this current schedule. My schedule is going to change slightly. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. You're very, very welcome. I'm going to my schedule's going to kind of change a little bit, but I think that this should still work. I have been holding on to something, so I do got an announcement. I've been holding on to something. I did enroll in a program, my graduate's program, to become a therapist. I'm super excited about it. I start next week. My classes, I got 2 classes. So I will have a master's in counseling and will be licensed therapist within the next 2.5 years. I got to go through clinicals and all that stuff. But I'm super excited about it. So my schedule's going to be changing a little bit, but Mondays should be good. I'm probably going to be doing classes. The classes that I'm taking starting next week are Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So I should be good with Monday nights for now. If that changes, I'll make sure to let you guys know. But yeah, eventually I will be actually trained and licensed. And even though I know what I'm talking about, then y'all will really know that I know what I'm talking about. So I'm super excited. You guys are first to know. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure to grab my book, Not Self, Let Me Be Great. If you are struggling with self-doubt, this is the self-doubt inspiration and workbook. You can get it on Amazon. The link is in the description below. It has information about my life, but then it also has in the back self-reflections. So make sure to cop that. If you want something that is no content, you can get the journal. The journal this one's empty, but it's just basically a journal for you to be able to kind of use for you to write down your affirmations and all that stuff. This one is the journal. And this one is the workbook with my story. So make sure to grab that on Amazon. Links are in the bio. Okay, awesome. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, the first announcements. Yeah, that's basically the plan. That's definitely the plan. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Kiki. Thank you, Hero. I appreciate you guys. You always show up. I appreciate you all. So yeah, so that's the big announcement. I'm super excited. You guys will be on the journey with me. If anybody wants to write some papers, let me know. APA format. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, y'all. But I'm excited. So I'll keep you guys in the loop and updated as I get close to clinicals and as I go through these classes. I'm probably going to complain here and there on these classes that I'm taking. My first classes is Ethics of Therapy, and I think the other one is Ethics and Therapy Theory class. So those are my first 2 classes. So I will keep you guys updated. I appreciate you all. You have a great rest of your night. We should have a meditation. We will have a meditation posted on Wednesday. It will be on this topic. I try to keep it on brand. If there's any topics that you guys want, definitely let me know. Or anything else that you want to see on this channel, let me know. Until next time, you all have a great rest of your night. I'll talk to you soon.